welcome to the Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Nicole, and today I'm joined by some brilliant members of the Giraffe team. We have social media manager Laura.
Hello.
Social media manager Tyler.
Hello.
And social media assistant Chloe.
Hi.
Cool. So today's group chat episode is all about top tips for social media reach. This is actually the third installment in our social media top tips series. So if you haven't already, please check out the other episodes on top tips for driving social media conversions and social media growth. But enough about all of that. Today's episode, we will be chatting all about social media reach and how you can increase your brand awareness on social media. Firstly, I think it's pretty important to clarify why social media reach is important. So whenever we refer to social media reach or impressions, we are basically talking about the amount of people who have viewed that post, whether it's organic or paid. So if you're looking to increase brand awareness and just the amount of eyes that are on your brand, you probably want to increase social media reach. A high amount of reach could indicate a strong reaction from an audience who may not usually interact with. So it could allow you to increase your followers, drive new traffic to your website, or even increase sales. So more eyes mean more possibilities, essentially. So social media reach is great. So how do we go about increasing social media reach? Chloe, did you want to start us off with some top tips for organic reach?
Of course, I would love to. Something that I think everyone knows about but potentially is not sure how to utilize when we're talking about reach is hashtags. And they're really great because they're a completely free tool for you to use that can really boost your engagement, anywhere upwards of like 500 likes, that kind of thing. So you can gain followers from them as well, but I guess there's something that's completely free for you to use. All you need to do is a little bit of research and that engagement can kind of go through the roof sometimes. I think the most important thing to keep in mind with hashtags is that you do need to do a little bit of research to, get them to work really effectively. I think best practice is to use around 30 and you can post them in your caption, you can post them in your first comment. Instagram really doesn't have a preference, so whatever you think looks cleaner will always work. But I recommend finding, 10 to 15 that are industry based, a few niche ones, and then of course ones that kind of reflect the content that you're posting that day. So if you can create kind of a little Word document with a few different sets of hashtags that you can kind of copy and paste across all your posts, that's all you need, and you don't need to do any further work once you've done that, and maybe you can refresh it every couple of weeks. But I guess the reason they're really great is that one, obviously they make your posts more discoverable, but they're also great for building that community. So as we're going to go into soon with community management, if you're searching hashtags that are very relevant to your brand, you're also finding users that way, and you can engage with them, and that way you're becoming more discoverable. And likewise, I know a lot of people, myself included, I like to have a little surf across hashtags and I find a lot of new users that way. And whether or not people follow you, it's not guaranteed, but you're definitely more likely to gain those likes and things. It's also a great thing to keep in mind is using branded hashtags. So if that's, brands like Misguided use hashtags to find user-generated content, and those have kind of in themselves become kind of iconic. Babes of Misguided is something that I'm pretty sure everyone uses in a post where they're wearing that brand. But you can also just have them as competitions or just general posting, like KitKat, for example, has Take a Break, and they will use that in all those posts, and I'm sure people who have KitKat will do the same. So a lot of aspects there to cover with hashtags.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hashtags are kind of like the pinnacle of social media, if you like. Like, you think about social media and you think of hashtags and all of those different types of things, particularly on Instagram. I was thinking, like, to myself the other day, like, do I really use hashtags, when I'm searching for content? But I think I do. Like, when I'm looking for certain outfit inspo, for example, I will just search like hashtag Zara or like hashtag outfit of the day. Like, I do still use those things, and I don't know how well the posts that I see come from that because they're such huge hashtags, obviously. Which is why, like you said, Chloe, using a combination of maybe larger ones and niche ones are better. But I definitely think I still use them myself to search. What about you guys? Do you use them or never?
I use them. Certainly, I guess from a personal perspective, I'm like you, Nicole. If I ever kind of don't want to use Pinterest and I'm just on Instagram and need some inspiration, I'll search them up and find new accounts and just post in general. And I guess from a social media manager perspective as well, like even this isn't necessarily to do with reach, but if you're struggling for content ideas, searching those industry related hashtags can really give you the inspiration. You can look at what's trending or what other people are doing that performs really well. So I'm a big fan of hashtags.
Yeah, no, I'm the same really. I think I don't use them often, then I don't search for hashtags that often, but I think when I do, I I would say it's predominantly, like you say, Nicole, outfit inspo, anything like that. But yeah, as a social media manager, I think I predominantly use them to search for any relevant hashtags that I think might fit any clients of mine or any new hashtags, sort of see the whether they're niche hashtags or more broad hashtag, content inspo. So yeah, I do think there's so much you can do with a hashtag in that you can find from a hashtag as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there are lots of tools to look for hashtags, right? I know there are lots of websites where you can find the best trending hashtags for different industries. So I think those are really cool. I think a lot of the time, though, I don't know about if you guys have had this, but clients are like, are these hashtags even doing anything? You know, like why are we using them? Like, how do we know if they're working or not? Which I think is a totally fair point. But I mean, you can look on your insights on Instagram and see different hashtags, like where people have come from. If that's quite low, then maybe you're not using the right types of hashtags. If it's quite high, then maybe try a few posts where you just use one or two and like find the one that's really working. I know on a bunch of like scheduling softwares and those types of tools, you can sort of do a roundup of the hashtags that are performing best on your feed. So it's definitely worth exploring and testing, I'd say, more than anything else. Just try out different ones and see what works. Tyler, do you have any hashtag thoughts?
I would probably agree with everyone. I think from a definitely a social media manager perspective, I use hashtags all the time to, like Laura said, search for specific kinds of hashtags or to see, is this specific hashtag getting a lot of reach and a lot of engagement on other posts, and will it kind of work with, the client that I'm working with. So yeah, 100% hashtags, they've got all the power in my opinion. So I definitely recommend anyone to use them.
And do you use them yourself? Like when you're just on Instagram, Twitter, how often do you use hashtags?
In like a personal capacity, not really. I think it's more because I don't even know why I don't use them personally, if I'm honest. But no, not really. No, it's all kind of just anytime I'm looking for a client specifically, then I will look at certain things. But
I think that's probably something to keep in mind, is like it's all well and good using all these different types of hashtags to try and find people, but like how many people are actually searching that hashtag? So like try and make them realistic, if you like, so that people will actually be finding them, but there definitely is sort of a secret power to them. But that's all, organic reach, which is probably the hardest one, I would say. So Laura, did you want to talk to us a little bit about sort of paid reach and how you can increase that?
Yeah, definitely. So the reach objective on any sort of paid advertising campaign obviously maximizes the number of people who will see your ads and how often they see them. So this is a great objective if you want to increase brand awareness and ultimately increase trust amongst your target audiences. So obviously, sort of the more your target audience sees an ad from you, maybe the more they'll sort of think, oh, I've seen this brand before, and then they start to get to know you, and then you can sort of take them down that sort of buyer journey and that marketing funnel. I would say the best way to utilize reach is to use it within a promoted post. So have the objective as reach when you're boosting any organic posts, because this way you can You can share the amazing content with so many different people. And I think you can also sort of test things out. So you can use a reach objective with an engagement objective. So you're not sort of compromising on engagement on posts, but you're still putting them out there, getting people to see the content that you've created, and again, sort of gain that interest of the brand. And I think from that, you can then sort of check out the data as well, and perhaps take some learnings from it to inform your strategy going forward. So you might look at sort of the age that your ad's reaching, or the gender that your ad's reaching, and then you can sort of learn. I mean, see that Facebook's algorithm is incredible, so it's continuously trying to deliver your ads to the best people. I do think with a reach objective, it's important to take a look back at that data, try and figure out what it's telling you, so that it can help you sort of develop a strategy for your brand or for your client's brand.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we always talk about the marketing funnel, right? Like, that is just the first stage. It's getting your brand out there to as many people as possible. And then once you've done that, you can then, like you said, narrow it down, look at the different demographics, and maybe try out different audiences. So I think just having that in, like, at the back of your mind, just the fact that starting off with a reach objective, I think is really important. And I definitely recommend, like you said, Laura, sort of promoting posts, just giving certain posts a boost to see what happens with different audiences. If you're trying out a new post, take that post and send it out to the world, with a budget behind it, and see what happens. I think just testing out different things is so key when it comes to reach. And then once you've got that, that's where you start thinking about engagement or sales or traffic. Like, you just go from there, right? So you're completely right.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that's good for paid reach, which is obviously super important and has a lot of benefits. I'd say it's, obviously the cheaper option for getting reach. I think getting reach on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, reach is a really good one to use. It's quite a nice objective because you really are just sending it to as many people as you can. But going back to the organic side of things, I think organic reach is sometimes more quality because you've done it yourself and you've done a little bit of additional research there. So Tyler, do you want to talk to us a little bit about sort of how you can work on that organic reach sort of as a strategy? Like, how do you work on that over time and what do you learn?
Yeah, definitely. I would probably say the number one thing to think about when it comes to organic reach and kind of increasing your organic reach as much as possible, I think would be to post as consistently as possible. Having that interaction with, also when it comes to, as Chloe mentioned, community management, and having that interaction with your customers and target audience, and consistently posting on your grid and keeping a consistent image and everything behind your brand is one of the most important ways that you can increase that organic reach. I think it also allows you to appear more, I don't want to say genuine as a brand, but people have a lot more trust and faith in a brand that has a voice and has an image across social media, and therefore you'll be able to, using hashtags in turn with your content, reach more people organically in that sense. As well as posting stories, when you post something maybe on your grid, it might not necessarily reach as many people as you want it to, and posting a story after you've posted an organic post and put that image out there, it will help you to reach more people. And it might not necessarily show up on people's feed, or how the Instagram algorithm can work and it can change consistently. So posting a story and also promoting that on your stories can also be a massive help when it comes to reaching more people organically. As well as maybe even like looking at trends and investigating certain things that are working well within the industry. Memes have been a massive thing that have been going around recently, and people have been using them, and tapping into that kind of market when it comes to knowing what people are enjoying and liking at the moment with organic content will definitely help you in reaching more people. So yeah, I would definitely say there's a whole number of ways that you can do it. But definitely ensuring that you're consistently posting on your feed, using community management to interact with people and showing them that you as a brand are out there and you're a part of the industry, as well as posting on stories, And then obviously, looking at certain trends within the industry and making sure that you are keeping updated and keeping on top of them, and just creating as much content as possible, I think.
Yeah, totally. I mean, how often do you see a meme and then the next day it's everywhere? Like, you can't get away from it. Like, every brand has posted about it. It is all over the place. And, like, you want to be that person. Like, you want to be part of that conversation. When you see a meme everywhere, you want to be early enough that it's trending, that people find it funny, essentially. But, you want to be part of that conversation as soon as possible. And I think that's why memes in particular work so well, because they're just favored by the algorithm, because so many people are liking them and retweeting them, and you just get part of that cycle, of things being shared. So that in particular, I think is really key. And you said stories as well. Like, I remember, I don't know if people still do this now, but people would like secretly make a location in a story, like really, really small, and try and hide it to try to see if that would help increase reach. Even hashtags, like they'd make them really, really small, like change the font color so you couldn't see it. Like all those little tricks. I don't know if any of you guys have done that recently, but I know that was quite a big thing a few years ago as well, to try and increase the reach of stories, particularly because stories are so, important now. Doing that is really important. I don't know, have any of you guys done that recently? Is that not needed anymore?
I have. I gotta say, I'm not necessarily for like brands that I manage, but I know like personally I'll do that. I can't say it necessarily improved the reach of my stories, but I know that like if I'm, I don't know, posting like a photo where I have like I'm wearing a brand, or like I have a drink from somewhere, like I'll tag the brand, because they're more likely to see your story than they are your post, like within the millions that they get tagged in. But yeah, I think stories are great, especially like sponsored stories, because you're taking up the entire screen, like that person's screen, whereas they can easily like scroll past you in the feed. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the speed that I go through on my stories now, I'm just like clicking through. But you're right, Chloe, I like the idea of that. Like, you are taking up the whole screen. You have the whole screen to play with, like make it as exciting as you can. Obviously we've talked about stories quite a lot in the past, but I think they're great, and I think they really help in organic reach as well. And just like, I talk about algorithms a lot, but I really do think once you post, and you post a story as well, like it just works. I think that's really important to include. And then hashtags as well. Like, there are loads of like Throwback Friday. Is it Throwback? Oh my god, is that wrong? Is it Throwback Thursday?
Throwback Thursday, Flashback Friday.
There we go. Same thing, different hashtag. But like, there are so many things like that it's kind of a meme to say that, but I still use them. Like, I still use those hashtags. And I think, like you said earlier, Chloe, like even if you're struggling for content, like that kind of stuff, just getting in on a popular hashtag helps, and not only does it give you ideas, but also could help increase your reach. So I think that's really important. I think like there's no denying getting reach can be hard sometimes, because all the social media platforms are filled with everyone like us trying to infiltrate different audiences. But I think these sort of hacks in particular are really good. And as we mentioned, there are lots of tools as well to try and help that. So if you have all three of these together, then hopefully you stumble upon the magic ingredient. If you've got paid ads, you've got a really good social media strategy, perhaps working with a social media agency like us, or just using hashtags in your posts. I think those are really useful. I think all of those things together are really important. And also something we haven't mentioned yet is like video content, which I think we all know is like just key. Video content across any platform, in particular Instagram, is super important. I know Reels have been around for at least a year now, maybe even longer, but I still think Instagram are pushing it, as they should. I mean, TikTok is the best, and I won't even get into TikTok reach on this episode, because I feel like that's a whole other beast that we're all still trying to figure out. Like, it's so crazy. But Instagram Reels, I think, are interesting. I think we're at a time where Instagram are trying to push that. So if you can get involved in that trend, like we said before, you see a meme, you see it everywhere. I think Instagram Reels, they're trying to do the same thing. Because Chloe, I remember, was it like your first reel ever that you posted just like completely blew up?
Not my first reel, but one of the first. And I think I posted it when reels had kind of just come out. So Instagram was really just putting everything they had into it. And to be honest, it wasn't even that good of a reel, but it ended up being
I disagree.
Thank you. I mean, I've posted much better since then that I haven't done anywhere near as well, but I think the fact that I kind of jumped on it early, I think it gained over like 1 million views, which is crazy numbers. But I think it's cool that you mentioned it because it's not just reels at the moment. I think, you know, like Twitter's coming out with like these audio rooms and stuff, but I think jumping on these new features that like platforms put out early is really key to kind of gaining that extra reach because they push it so hard. I mean, everyone's trying to compete with TikTok and I guess Clubhouse as well. So whenever a new feature comes out on kind of a mainstream platform, I think getting on that early is really crucial to kind of helping you gain some new followers and reach brand new eyes because they really do just like pump them out. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. What about you, Tyler? Do you watch Instagram Reels? Just because I've just called you out there, but it's just a question I have for you.
Sometimes, to be fair, like if I'm scrolling through the explore page by the off chance that I'm actually on there, then yeah, I will have a look at them, but they're not nearly as like attention grabbing and engaging as TikTok. Like I don't know what it is because it's pretty much the same kind of video content on Instagram as it is on TikTok. But TikTok, I can sit for hours scrolling through. Whereas Instagram Reels, I think because you have to physically go and find them, it's a lot different. Like you have to move off of your homepage. You've got to go to the explore page and you've got to like click on it and then scroll through it. And it's completely like randomized most of the time. And I look at them and I'll watch them, but I'll spend like 10-15 minutes and then I'll be like, okay, like it's not grabbing my attention enough, moving on to the next thing. So I think they can be really useful when it comes to, like Chloe said, if you jump on it early enough and you're on it like when that kind of feature comes out, then it's amazing and it can have such great power. But it also kind of depends on the content that you're producing, I think, as well when it comes to video content. And making sure that it's of like a high quality and it's relevant to your audience and, you know, going back to posting regularly and all of those kind of things. When it comes to obviously video content being some of the best content that is around at the moment and the kind of content that people will engage with a lot more, I think when you create a reel, it's, you know, it's important for you to just consider all aspects and ensure that it's like of the highest quality. So yeah, I definitely look at them, but maybe not as much as I should be.
Totally. I mean, that is also a whole other episode in itself, sort of the Instagram Reels versus TikTok. I think it's super interesting. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about maybe why it's not as engaging as TikTok. Like maybe it's just the fact that it is a different platform. Like you don't go onto Instagram for that yet anyway. I think it's quite interesting. And like you said, at the moment, it's kind of the same content on both. So why is it not as grabbing? I don't know. Stay tuned for that episode, I'm sure soon, because I think that's really interesting. But Laura, I mean, have you had any sort of experiences where video has had way more reach? I mean, obviously you can do a video views campaign, which is, you know, about getting views on that video. But if you put it through a reach objective first and just get that out there, I'd say that's probably one of the most important things. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen mainly promoted posts, so promoted video posts generally gain a lot more reach, and I do think that's probably because video content is favored by all the platforms, so generally it just seems to outperform any single image content. So I think that is something I think we've probably all sort of learned over our times of being a social media manager is if you can sort of condense any information or any content down into short form video, it's probably going to do better than what it would do otherwise. And I think the platforms now are really clever in that when you're scrolling, videos automatically play, so you literally don't have to do anything and it's already playing. So yeah, like
that never used to be a thing.
No,
like how crazy is that? Now we just scroll through. We're so used to it just playing, but back in the day, you had to click play. You had to have a thumbnail. Exactly. You know, you had to. Yeah. It's quite funny, isn't it? I think bit of a side topic. Obviously, on YouTube, back in the day, like those crazy thumbnails were like such like an important part of like grabbing someone's attention. But now, even on YouTube, like on a desktop or laptop or something, if you hover over a video thumbnail, it starts playing the video. So like, I don't know how important those thumbnails are these days, because it's just the video footage itself that's grabbing you in. So that's a great point, Laura. I think that's super interesting that we're just so used to like everything needs to grab you, everything's moving. So thinking about even the first like shot of your video, you know, what is that? Is that going to grab people?
I've seen a lot of people, now that you mention it, it's kind of sprung to mind. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but perhaps on Facebook feeds or Instagram Explore, you'll see this video with like this crazy like first kind of image, like someone's like chopped their finger off or their eyeballs coming out, but the video kind of has nothing to do with that. So what they've done is created that thumbnail to kind of draw you in. And then you're already watching it, so you kind of can't scroll away. So,
Like
yeah.
Video clickbait.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. It's very cheeky, but it works. So, you know, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I'm all for it. Make it clickbaity. As long as it's not spammy, then I think it still works. Thank you all guys for all of your thoughts today. I think it's been very, very interesting to hear from you. And thank you to everyone for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We've already teased a few topics, so definitely stay tuned for those. You can connect with us on all major social channels and let us know what you thought about today's episode. And if you have any other tips for increasing your social media reach. We've been Giraffe Social Media. You've been amazing. We'll see you next time.